Hi everyone, I'm Ed Orcutt, your state representative from the 18th District. I represent portions of Cowlitz and Clark counties, including Camas, Washougal, Salmon Creek, Battleground, Ridgefield, and LaCenter, up through Woodland, Kalama, and Toutle to the county line. I'm reporting to you from the 2009 legislative session here in Olympia. Now, some of you have been watching my video updates fairly regularly, and you'll notice that we have a little bit different backdrop today. The irony here is that when we're doing most of our work in committees, our video crew can set up on the floor of the House. Now we're at a point in the session where we're doing most of our work on the floor, so we had to find an alternate location to do our video updates. So that's why you see a little backdrop in the back here that's a little different than you've seen in the past. We're now in the 7th week of session. Most of our time for the next 2 weeks, as I said, will be spent on the floor of the House of Representatives, where we will be debating and voting on bills that have passed through the committee process. I'm pleased to report that a couple of my bills have already passed the House and are now in the Senate for further consideration. House Bill 1475 passed the House this week unanimously. This legislation requires all agencies with rulemaking authority to provide a link on their homepage to their rulemaking page. This would include the text or a link to the text of any rule proposed or adopted in the last 12 months. For any proposed rule, they would be required to provide information on the time, date, and location of any public hearing on the proposed rules, and also to provide you information on how you can submit written testimony so that you get to be heard when it comes to these proposed agency rules. House Bill 1478 also passed the House unanimously. This bill will allow deployed military personnel to renew a previously expired vehicle license effective for a full year from the date of renewal. This bill was requested by several military constituents who were treated to the reality that they would have to pay licensing fees for the entire time their vehicle was either in storage or sitting out beside the garage while they were on duty in Iraq. For many of them, their renewed registration was set to expire again in just a short period, and then of course they'd have to pay to renew again for a full year. This just allows them to renew for the full year from the time they actually renew it. There's no sense in making them pay for time they couldn't use their automobile. Finally, a quick budget and taxes update. We've known about our state's budget deficit for months, and yet budget writers have done next to nothing about it. And now with the most recent preliminary forecast showing a continued downward trend in our state tax collections, the situation's getting worse. In November, our deficit projection was about $5.1 billion. Our recent update shows a drop of yet another $2.3 billion, making our current budget shortfall closer to $7.4, $7.5 billion. Now, of course, that's an Olympia deficit, so actual deficit may vary. I've been concerned for some time now that the strategy of budget writers would be to wait until things got so bad the public would support a tax increase. Well, now they're talking about that very thing. The leading budget writers in the legislature have made it official. They're expecting to seek a tax increase from you at the end of this session. It is likely that they'll tie this tax increase to a specific or emotional public relations friendly program that either deals with education, healthcare, or children. There will be floor speeches about doing the right thing and having the courage to raise taxes, but in the end, this is another government bailout at your expense. We're throwing in the towel if we think the solution is another bailout by the taxpayers, and that's something I just can't support. I hope you'll join me in rejecting the legislature's attempt to take more money away from hardworking families. For those of you who have watched my video updates before, you know I like to include the students who serve as pages from our district. They're an important part of the process here in Olympia, and it's a pleasure to sponsor them. This week, I'd like to introduce Abby Yunkin from Camas. Abby, I want to thank you for all of your work this week. The work that you do is so helpful to all of us, and it's a pleasure having you here. I hope you're having a good time, and I hope you're learning a little bit about the process. And I want to thank all of you out there for taking time to find out what's happening here in Olympia. I appreciate your involvement as we work together to make Southwest Washington a better place to live, work, and raise a family. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact my office. You can use my direct line at 360-786-7812. Again, that's 360-786-7812. You can use the toll-free hotline, send a message by email. And don't forget to check my webpage for news. I'm Ed Orcutt, your state representative. Thanks for joining Abby and I this morning.